Welcome to Celeb Glow, where Hollywood secrets don't stay hidden for long. From explosive celebrity feuds to the whispers the industry prays you never hear, we uncover everything they don't want you to know. Buckle up, because the truth glows brightest when the lights go dark. The digital world felt charged, like static waiting to spark. For weeks, an uneasy vibration had rippled through the celebrity gossip universe. Not loud enough to dominate headlines, but strong enough that anyone who follows Hollywood drama could sense something brewing. A quiet tension, a strange shift, a whisper turning into a murmur. And suddenly, the entire dam burst. Nicki Minaj, the undisputed queen of precision shade, had allegedly launched a grenade straight into the carefully crafted billion-dollar fortress of Beyoncé and Jay-Z. And this time, the explosion wasn't petty, wasn't playful, and definitely wasn't typical celebrity drama. This was darker. This was disturbing. This was personal. Because this wasn't about charts, sales, or ego. This was about Papa Bear, Nicki's son. At first, the signs were almost ignorable. A cryptic tweet here, a sly lyric there, coding messages that only people fluent in Nicki Minaj language could translate. Her true fans, the ones who study her tone, her timing, her lyrical daggers, realized quickly that something heavy was brewing beneath the surface. And then the accusation landed. Bizarre, terrifying, and so wild it sounded like something ripped straight out of a supernatural thriller. Nicki Minaj seemed to be implying that Beyoncé, the global icon worshipped like a modern goddess, was involved in plotting to sacrifice Papa Bear. The claim was so outrageous, so extreme, that the first reaction everywhere was, "This can't be real. This has to be delusion. This sounds like a fever dream." Because sacrificing a child to voodoo idols? That's not typical rumor blog material. That's horror movie territory. But fame is a strange ecosystem. It distorts reality. It blends paranoia with power. It creates echo chambers where anything, no matter how bizarre, can suddenly feel true. And Nicki Minaj, who has never hesitated to confront an enemy, was painting Beyoncé in a way the world had never seen before. But why? What triggered such a dangerous accusation? What pushed Nicki to take a swing that could risk her career, her legacy, and possibly her safety? The roots of this feud stretched far, twisted like the tangled branches of an ancient tree. There were whispers of a financial betrayal by Jay-Z, claims Nicki had been cheated out of millions. There was the long-standing silent tension between two dominant female powerhouses who never publicly clashed, but were constantly compared. And then there were the children. During a heated moment in a past fight with Cardi B, Nicki had crossed a line many fans consider sacred. She brought the Carter kids into the argument. Jay-Z and Beyoncé didn't respond directly, but their silence carried the weight of a warning. Everyone knew the rule. Don't mess with their kids. Kanye West had learned this lesson when he spiraled online accusing the Carters of lying about their youngest child's birth. The backlash was instant. The industry may ignore many things, but not that. Now, Nicki had reopened that forbidden door and gone even further. She was claiming Beyoncé wasn't just targeting children, but was willing to sacrifice one. That took the drama from petty celebrity drama to a realm of genuine fear. And according to insiders, Jay-Z was preparing to bring down the full legal hammer, the type of legal storm only a billionaire with endless resources could unleash. The internet went insane. Papa Bear began trending alongside Beyoncé, Voodoo, and Team Nicki. The Barbz mobilized like an army. They pulled old interviews, dug through obscure corners of the internet, resurfaced allegations from ex-employees, and resurrected every conspiracy theory that ever connected Beyoncé to occult symbolism. While Nicki's fan base launched a digital war, Beyoncé stayed silent. completely silent. No tweets, no denials, no press statements, no PR spin, just an eerie, calculated quiet that felt louder than any response. And in a world where silence is often twisted into guilt, Beyoncé's lack of reaction made everything feel even more unsettling. Was it a power move? Was it strategic? Or was she waiting for the right moment to strike? Then another spark ignited the blaze. Solange, Beyoncé's sister, posted a cryptic photo on Instagram, a dimly lit image resembling a voodoo altar, candles flickering, symbols visible enough to provoke speculation, but vague enough to deny. It was gasoline on an already raging fire. Herbs, candles, carved symbols, and an assortment of ritualistic objects were arranged with unsettling precision in Solange's cryptic Instagram photo. The scene looked less like a casual aesthetic post and more like an intentional altar. But what made the image even more disturbing was the fact that the comments were turned off. No explanations, no clarifications, no room for speculation or defense. It was a message, whether symbolic, coincidental, or deliberate, and everyone received it loud and clear. The Knowles-Carter family was not to be trifled with. But the whispers surrounding witchcraft and occult involvement had been circulating long before this feud. Former drummer Kimberly Thompson had once accused Beyoncé of using extreme witchcraft, casting dark spells, even claiming she'd use magic for sexual manipulation and sabotage. Back then, these allegations were dismissed as the rantings of a bitter ex-employee. But now, with Nicki's accusations rising like smoke across the internet, people started to wonder, was there a pattern forming? A string of similar claims that had been buried under Beyoncé's pristine public image? And then there was Kanye West, whose infamous spirals had become part of pop culture history. His rants about Beyoncé and Jay-Z being controlled, dangerous, and capable of taking people out were always brushed aside as symptoms of a breakdown. But now, with Nicki sounding the alarm, Kanye's chaotic confessions began resurfacing in a darker, more sinister light. Had Kanye, in his unfiltered madness, accidentally spoken truths no one wanted to believe? Adding to the shadow was a chilling claim tied to Aaliyah's tragic death. A cryptic interview from Truth Rights suggested some level of Beyoncé's involvement, a theory so disturbing that most had rejected it outright. But under the weight of fresh accusations, even this old theory started to gain renewed traction. The idea that Beyoncé, an icon worldwide, could be capable of such malevolence was almost impossible to process, and yet the internet was now storming with questions that once sounded too ridiculous to say out loud. But the most chilling accusation came from Nicki herself. She hinted that Papa Bear was allegedly mute because of Beyoncé's voodoo. This took the feud from sensational gossip into a terrifying new dimension. This wasn't about celebrity egos anymore. This was about a child, innocent, vulnerable, and allegedly harmed. If even a fraction of Nicki's claims held truth, the implications were catastrophic. The stakes were no longer just reputational. They were spiritual, emotional, and potentially criminal. But the question haunting everyone was simple. Did Nicki have proof? Had she witnessed something firsthand, heard something behind the scenes, or were these accusations rooted in fear, paranoia, or manipulation? As expected, the truth was buried behind the impenetrable walls of celebrity management, PR handling, and airtight NDAs. But one thing was undeniable. Nicki was not backing down. And now, the Carters were done staying silent. Their response came not through Beyoncé's voice or a social media statement, but through a phalanx of elite attorneys. The lawsuit, when it finally dropped, was a weapon disguised as paperwork, a polished, merciless legal masterpiece crafted to shred Nicki Minaj's credibility and financially cripple her into submission. Defamation, slander, and intentional infliction of emotional distress, count after count, stacked like bricks in a wall designed to crush her. And that was only the beginning. Sources whispered that Jay-Z was preparing a restraining order, ensuring Nicki could never again speak about him or his family.
Even darker rumors floated about a gag order, the ultimate muzzle, threatening total silence or catastrophic legal consequences. The message from the Carters: stop speaking or pay the price. But Nicki refused to fold. Fueled by the unwavering loyalty of the Barbz, who flooded timelines with support, theories, and evidence, Nicki doubled down. She dropped cryptic messages hinting at receipts, alleged witnesses, and information powerful enough to expose the Carters' dark secrets. The entire industry froze. Was Nicki bluffing to protect her pride, or did she truly possess explosive evidence? The fate of two empires now hung in the balance. If Nicki proved even the sliver of her claims, Beyoncé's global image, built meticulously over decades, would collapse in an instant. But if Nicki failed, she risked becoming a permanent outcast, a cautionary tale whispered behind closed doors. Don't cross the wrong family. Meanwhile, the spotlight shifted to Papa Bear, the innocent child unintentionally thrust into this violent storm. Was he actually mute? If so, was it a serious developmental issue misunderstood by the public? Or something more spiritual, as Nicki suggested? The internet fractures into factions. Some insisted they had seen videos of Papa Bear speaking just fine, implying Nicki was weaponizing her son's condition for dramatic effect. Others pointed to grainy photos of strange symbols allegedly seen around the Carters' properties, symbols that fed the growing obsession with occult theories. As usual, the truth remained hidden, protected by layers of PR, NDAs, and the impenetrable machinery of celebrity power. But one thing was painfully obvious. Papa Bear had become a pawn in a war far bigger than he could ever comprehend. A symbol of innocence caught between two towering forces locked in a battle neither wanted to lose. As the legal battle raged on in the courts, the war for public opinion grew even more chaotic. Social media platforms turned into battlegrounds. Twitter threads stretched thousands of comments long, Reddit pages overflowed with theories, and TikTok creators dissected every frame, every lyric, every eyebrow raise from both sides. Some hailed Nicki as a warrior, a woman daring to speak out against one of the most powerful and allegedly untouchable families in entertainment. They praised her courage, framing her as a mother fighting for her child's safety against forces darker and more influential than most could comprehend. Others condemned her just as passionately. They accused her of recklessness, of using her own child as a pawn, of fabricating extreme conspiracies for shock value. They questioned her motives, her evidence, and even her sanity, insisting she had crossed a line that no celebrity should ever cross. News anchors debated, pundits analyzed, and self-declared internet detectives dug through every piece of footage, every interview, every leaked text, hoping to uncover a hidden truth. But the truth remained locked, buried behind walls of celebrity PR, billion-dollar branding, and carefully crafted narratives. The only undeniable fact was this. The feud between Nicki Minaj and Beyoncé was nowhere near its end. The stakes had grown too high, the accusations too severe, the wounds too deep. This wasn't just a feud anymore, it was a storm, and everyone could feel that something darker was coming. The first wave of receipts. The first blow struck when leaked emails appeared online, allegedly exchanged between Beyoncé's management team and various spiritual practitioners. The messages were drenched in coded phrases, energy alignment, cosmic cleansing, ancestral balance, and ritual preparation. None of the emails explicitly mentioned Papa Bear or anything resembling a sacrifice, but the tone was unequivocally mystical. It painted a picture of a team deeply engaged with esoteric practices, hinting at a world far stranger than Beyoncé's polished public persona. Then came the witnesses, former insiders, assistants, dancers, stylists, spiritual consultants began speaking anonymously. Their stories overlapped in eerie ways. Late-night chanting sessions that lasted until sunrise. Rooms filled with crystals, talismans, and objects arranged in secret geometric patterns.
Obsessive numerology, where every major career decision was allegedly timed according to spiritual calculations. A psychic who was consulted on everything from album dates to tour set lists. One witness even claimed the Carter home contained an entire room dedicated to energetic convergence, where rituals were performed during major astrological events. Individually, each story could be dismissed as exaggeration, bitterness, or opportunism. But together, they formed a distressing mosaic, a pattern of alleged spiritual obsession that clashed violently with Beyoncé's crafted perfection. Jay-Z's legal team reacted instantly, attempting to dismantle every allegation. They painted the witnesses as liars, criminals, opportunists, and mentally unstable individuals seeking clout. But the damage was already spreading like wildfire. Doubt had entered the public consciousness, and once doubt enters, it never fully leaves. Then came the video. A grainy, shaky clip allegedly filmed inside the Carter residence. It showed a dimly lit room, a group of robed individuals gathered around a makeshift altar, candles flickering wildly as they chanted in a language no one could identify. Beyoncé was not clearly visible, but many swore the voice leading the chant sounded unmistakably like hers. The video detonated across the internet. Jay-Z's legal team dismissed it immediately as a deepfake, a digitally manufactured smear designed to destroy Beyoncé's reputation. They insisted it was a fabrication, a cruel trick of modern technology. But the internet didn't care. Conspiracy theories thrived. Memes multiplied. Analysts slowed the video frame by frame. Others compared the voice to Beyoncé's isolated vocal tracks from live performances. The storm intensified. Then, unexpectedly, Cardi B stepped into the narrative. In cryptic tweets dripping with subtext, she hinted that the public didn't know half of what goes on behind the scenes. She mentioned dark sides, hidden truths, and industry secrets people would run from if they knew. She never mentioned Beyoncé by name. She didn't have to. Her timing alone was enough to send shockwaves. Fans speculated wildly. Was Cardi quietly siding with Nicki? Were two former rivals joining forces against a common enemy? The possibility set the internet on fire. As the lawsuit dragged deeper into the legal trenches, it became clear that this was no longer just a defamation case. This was a battle for something much bigger. A battle for the soul of the entertainment industry. On one side stood the immaculate manufactured image of celebrities, PR protected, sanitized, worshipped. On the other stood the unsettling, chaotic reality behind the curtain. A world of secrecy, spiritual advisors, unspoken power, and rumored rituals. And trapped in the center of this escalating war was Papa Bear. A child too young to speak for himself. A child now transformed to a symbol. A child whose very innocence became a chess piece in a war of giants. Was he truly mute? Was it medical? Was it spiritual? Or was it a narrative shaped by a mother fighting shadows, real or imagined? No one knew, and possibly no one ever would. But one truth was undeniable. The world was watching, waiting, holding its breath, because this story, this dark, sprawling saga, was far from over. It was only the beginning.